Who is the new man in charge of StarCraft 2 esports? Which Korean player only performs well in the GSL? And which toilet stall is most likely to be the cleanest? All of these questions will be answered in today's episode of StarCraft Today.
StarCraft Today.
Your favorite StarCraft news show. Starting out with some good news for StarCraft 2 esport fans around the globe, as in late May, ESL put out a job listing for a senior product manager for StarCraft 2. Now that sounds a bit vague, but it basically is the person in charge of everything ESL Pro Tour related for ESL, so practically all of StarCraft 2 esports right now. They have now announced that they hired Alex Truzliakov. Alex is a well-known StarCraft 2 content creator with over 200k subscribers on YouTube and has tournament organizing experience as he put on 2 WCS circuit events in Kiev while working for StarLadder. This is interesting news as the 2022-2023 season, which we're currently in, is the final year of the 3-year deal that Blizzard made with ESL, which saw Blizzard commit close to $4 million in prize money. This recent hire suggests that we will see at least some type of continuance of that deal, meaning more StarCraft 2 esports in the future. More good news as the GSL Season 3 continued with their round of 10, and in the first few matches we already had some bangers of games. In the first match in Game 1 we saw Ragnarok open up with an uninspired roach attack against Bunny. Or well, roach attack. He moved across the map with the roaches, saw some marines and decided to go back home. This led to Bunny being up 4 upgrades as well as having similar army supply as his roach producing opponent. Despite all this, Ragnarok manages to eventually max out and take out Bunny's forward base, but while doing that also loses his entire army. Bunny quickly counterattacks and picks up a game number 1. The second game started off with an exciting proxy hatch versus a command center first. According to the Terrans that I've spoken to, this is a build order win for Zerg, as Terran is forced to pull a lot of SCVs to clear the hatchery and thus loses a lot of mining time. The situation in this game about 7 minutes in also shows that, as Ragnarok managed to carve out a nice little lead for himself. Ragnarok seemed to be dominating the game until he walked into 2-3 Widow Mines, which took out close to 40 supply in less than 3 seconds. A couple of fights later, however, Ragnarok managed to pick up game number 2 with a very Bane-heavy composition. The third game was a sad one as Bunny tried to go for a sneaky 3-Rex push, but due to some massive errors on the Terran side, this got scouted by a single Ling just walking into the main base, and resulted in a perfect response coming out of Ragnarok. Bunny tried to get back into it by 2.5 base all-inning into Ragnarok's third, but did not manage to get the damage necessary for a comeback. Ragnarok practically finished the game a couple of minutes later with a beautiful surround on the 180 supply Terran army, which in turn led to Ragnarok's 2-1 victory over the powerful Terran player. The second match of the day between Solar and Hero started out great for the Zerg player, as Hero got caught out of position trying to defend his third base on Waterfall. He got forced to recall as well as cancel his third base. Solar brilliantly followed this up with a Ravager Ling Bane timing attack, which put Hero with 1 foot in the grave. Hero went for a hopeless looking counterattack, but actually found some good connections with his disruptors, as Solar decided to engage from just a single angle for some reason. On top of that, Solar switched into Ultralist despite being up 30 supply, which were not fit to handle this situation whatsoever, and Hero miraculously manages to win game number 1. In the second game of the series, Hero attempts a cannon rush, but Solar responded adequately, and the game continued on with Solar perhaps in a slight lead. The Korean Zerg managed to surprise Hero with a big Mutalisk attack, which put the Zerg player in an almost unlosable position once again. But 2 disappointing fights later, we saw a disillusioned Solar scrambling to get a defense together for the Protoss counterattack, and for a second time in a row, faltering under the pressure, giving Hero the 2-0 win. In the third match, we witnessed the unorthodox Gumiho open up with a proxy Battlecruiser in a Terran mirror versus Bunny. Gumiho followed this up with Mech, but as often is the case with Mech, he died fairly early versus a big Biotank Viking bust from Bunny. The second game of the series saw Bunny move out with an exciting Raven Tank Marine push, but with good unit control and a little bit of help from his friends, or well, the SCVs in this case, the Towel Terran, Gumiho, cleaned it up and got himself a nice army lead, with which he counterattacked and straight up won the game. The third game of the series is this week's Game of the Week, and not because it was a brilliant macro game or we saw some insanely cool tactics being used. No, It was a straight up clown fiesta with both players double proxy rexing each other in the exact same location. Flying command centers, almost all SCVs dying for both players. Gumiho sniffed out a kill timing after he managed to take out 2 Reapers for free, and with some solid micro managed to close out the very short game and take the series with a 2-1 score. In the fourth series of the day, we saw Ragnarok and Hero play their first game on Data C. The Korean Zerg opened up with some heavy Ling aggression on a lower drone count. Hero struggled initially, but ended up losing almost nothing after a quick recall and good Oracle usage. Ragnarok's underwhelming Hydra Bane follow-up drop got spotted by Zealot and had to rotate to a different location, losing all momentum. At this point, Hero realized that his opponent was practically Hydra Bane all-inning him, and the number 1 ranked TOS decided to sit back, relax, and build some carriers. Once the carriers popped out and the only reliable anti-air that Ragnarok had were Hydras, the game ended and Hero took map 1. On the second map, Hero got his 7-gate Blink build scouted and was forced to transition out of it. This gave Ragnarok a decent amount of time and freedom to set up a big Mura attack, which dealt significant damage and forced an uncomfortable army split out of Hero. The follow-up Ravager Ling Bane attack went well, but did not quite manage to kill Hero. Ragnarok decided to regroup and go again as Hero took his 5th base, and this time the unrelenting Ragnarok eventually managed to force Hero to tap out of the game. That brought us to the final game, in which Hero started out with an unsuccessful Disruptor drop. This put Ragnarok in such a big lead that he felt that he could get away with mass Mura. Well, that wasn't quite the case, as Hero pushed at the perfect moment, taking out one of the 4 mining bases of Ragnarok. Hero then decided to recall a small part of his army back home to fight off some of the Muras and Lings. This move backfired as Hero lost all of his expensive Disruptors and Colossus, while Ragnarok continued to build more and more Mutalisks. Eventually, the Mura flock grew so big that Hero could not responsibly split his army anymore and was forced to either defend with everything or counterattack with everything. Hero stayed indecisive for a while, and when he finally decided to move out and pull the trigger, it was already too late. The Zerg had too many Muras and Lings and managed to easily take out the mass Stalker army, giving Ragnarok the 2-1 victory. In the final series of the day, we saw Gumiho successfully harass Solar with Battlecruisers and Hellions in game number 1, taking out 15 workers while keeping the majority of his own units alive. Solar Swarmo's response was underwhelming to say the least, and did not get the damage necessary to justify the resource and supply investment into the walking mushrooms. With so much supply tied up in useless swarm hosts, Gumiho decided it was time to win the game. Usually when Gumiho decides to win the game, he often does. Solar did not have enough units to defend and was forced to tap out of game number 1. In the second game, Gumiho opened up with a double starport Battlecruiser build. But before he could teleport across the map, he first had to deal with Solar's Roach-All-In. Once the Roach-All-In was dealt with and the BCs made their way across the map, Solar struggled mightily in the defense. Despite having Corruptors and Queens, the Battlecruiser count was simply too high, and Gumiho managed to win his second match of the day, this time with a 2-0 score. That leaves us with the current standings in Group A. Gumiho and Ragnarok with 2 wins each in first and second place respectively, Hero with a 1-1 score in third, while both Bunny and Solar are 0-2 so far and need to make some magic happen to try and advance out of this group. On a side note, impressive result out of Ragnarok, who can't really seem to win a series in an international tournament, but the moment it comes to the GSL performs like an absolute beast. That wasn't the only thing that happened this week, as we also had qualifiers for the upcoming DreamHack Masters Europe. It was mainly the usual suspects qualifying, but 2 players that are pretty cool to mention are King Cobra and Night Phoenix. Night Phoenix is a 17-year-old Ukrainian player that has never qualified before and is a real up-and-comer in the European scene. King Cobra, on the other hand, has been around for years, is 31 years old, and is mainly known for his low APM and his cannon rushes, but did manage to qualify. Personally, I'm looking forward a lot to both of these players in the tournament, and I hope that they can perform well. As always, we also had 3 ESL Open Cups starting on the Sunday in Korea, where we saw a Cure versus Hero finals, as Hero showed in a 4 games best of 5 that he currently is the better player in the matchup, taking home the win with a 3-1 score. Over in Europe, we had the El Clasico of the EPT Cup, so we had Hero Marine versus Clem. Last week, Hero Marine won against Clem, but this week, the French Terran was too strong for the German. Clem took home the victory with a 3-1 score in the finals. In America, we saw Beyond take his 2nd American Cup in a row, as he demolished MaxPax in a rather one-sided 3-1 finals, grabbing himself a couple of EPT points as well as $200 in prize money. That brings us to this week's clip of the week, in which we have Hate Me with an army takeover.
You want Observer, there's no Oracle, so you can't Revelate. So I tell you what, if the Observer was to die, which it just did, oh my god, there's actually no stopping these Infestors and the Neural Parasites. He grabs every important unit in the army. He surrounds everything. Oh my goodness, what a fight from Hate Me. He's going to destroy this Protoss force. Oh my god.
Beautiful takeover there out of Hate Me. You'll love to see it as long as you're not on the receiving end. All right, that's going to be it for me today, but not before we discuss which bedroom stall is most likely to be the cleanest. Now, no one, I think, actually tested which bedroom stall is the cleanest, but people have checked which bedroom stall is the most likely to be used. And there was one study in particular that I really liked. It would present people with 3 empty stalls, and men would go to the left one 28% of the time, to the middle one 40% of the time, and to the right one 32% of the time. That means that everyone actually went into a stall. That's a full 100%. Women, however, went left 34% of the time, went in the middle 29% of the time, and to the right 37% of the time. So if you position yourself straight in front of 3 bathroom stalls, you know which one is the least likely to be used, depending on which toilet you use. All right, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for more StarCraft 2 related videos. Thank you, and bye-bye.